They showed Sparkle's kit finally. And I'm really excited because I'm kind of curious to see how she falls into the meta. Because every time a Harmony character comes out, it usually changes up the meta the most. The Sparkle is a support character capable of recovering skill points for allies and increasing the allies' skill point limit. Additionally, Sparkle can advance the action of a designated ally, increase their crit damage, and boost the damage dealt by allies. So just reading that, it sounds a lot like Bronya plus skill points. Okay, so now we get to go into her abilities. Oh no, these are traces. When using basic attack, additionally regenerates energy. Okay, so she's gonna regenerate energy quicker. Crit damage boost effect provided by the skill will be extended until the start of the target's next turn. Okay, that is big. That's really big. That's Bronya's E6. So this is really big because this trace right here is Bronya's E6, which is Bronya's biggest issue, is her buff doesn't last long. So it's hard for her to buff certain characters, like follow-up attack characters. It's hard for her to buff Lightning Lord. It's hard for her to buff Numby. It's hard for her to buff Dr. Ratio's Chalk. So that is big for her, that she gets until the next turn. She doesn't have to go all the way to E6 like Bronya does to get that. That's really big. Increase all allies' attacks. Additionally, increases the attack of Quantum-type allies based on the amount of Quantum-type characters in the team. So basically, she's going to have like a planetary rendezvous in her kit, it sounds like. And she'll be able to run mono quantum. Her technique, using the technique, grants all allies misdirect for a certain time. Characters with misdirect will not be detected by enemies, and entering battle, the misdirect state recovers a certain number of skill points for the team. So basically, it sounds like it's Tilly's technique where she goes invisible, and you start off with more skill points. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big for certain, like, comps, especially zero cycles. If you're done a zero cycle, the extra skill points could be really nice. So her basic attack isn't anything special. She just goes up, she kicks them. I like the way she skips. I think it's cute. Her talent. While Sparkle's on the battlefield, additionally increase the max number of skill points. Whenever an ally consumes one skill point, all allies' damage dealt increases. This effect lasts for a certain number of turns and can stack up to a certain number of times. Basically, sounds like Don Hung will be good with her. Sounds like double DPS comps where you're using a lot of skills will be good with her. And then skill increases the crit damage of the target ally for a certain number of turns. This also causes the target's action to be advanced forward. Sparkle uses this ability on herself. She won't be able to trigger the action advance effect. Okay, so basically it's Bronya's E. But the only difference is instead of a flat damage increase, it's a crit damage increase. And they did the same thing where Bronya used to be able to buff herself with the action advance forward, but then it made her do way too much damage. It actually made her like a DPS character back in the beta. So they eventually added in this caveat for Bronya. So I guess they did the same thing so that wouldn't happen again with Sparkle. But so far, it sounds like she is pretty similar to Bronya. But the one big difference, two big differences, it seems like so far, is she's more skill point positive, which is nice. Because Bronya just basically spams E and doesn't really regenerate skill points. So she'll be more useful for people like Don Hung, where Bronya doesn't really fit in. And it seems like she'll be good for people that she can't buff, that Bronya can't buff as easily, like Jing Yuan, Topaz, and Dr. Ratio. Any like follow-up attack character, basically. She will be better for because she has the trace that lets Bronya, or that Bronya doesn't get until E6. So she'll have this trace that Bronya doesn't get till E6 so that the buff lasts longer. So that's really big. Okay, her ultimate recovers a certain number of skill points for the team and grants all allies Cypher. For allies with Cypher, each stack a damage boost. Effect provided by Sparkle's talent additionally increases by a certain percentage, lasting for a certain number of turns. Okay, so I guess skill points back. Oh, so it just increases the damage buff to even more. Okay, gotcha. So this part's interesting. I think this is where Bronya and Sparkle really separate. I don't think she is going to fully power creep Bronya. I think she's a little more universal than Bronya. But I think Bronya will definitely still have her role. It's kind of interesting to see, because like at the start of the game, Bronya was basically like the queen of the game, and of Harmony in particular. She was like the best character. She fit in almost any team comp. And then over time, more and more characters have come out that Bronya doesn't work that well with. Kafka, Black Swan, basically any dot character that came out, Bronya doesn't do great with. Any follow-up attack character, if she's not E6, Bronya can't really do that much for. And then Dan Heng, like any heavy skill point character like Dan Heng, she also struggles with because Bronya uses a lot of skill points herself. So this is where Bronya and Sparkle kind of separate, and one doesn't really replace the other. They kind of just have their own spots. Like when Ruan Mei came out, Ruan Mei kind of took over the dot comps, and she kind of took over the double DPS comps and the follow-up attack comps, because Bronya couldn't buff that. Now, Sparkle will be a viable option for the follow-up attack characters. She'll be a viable option for Dan Heng. I think Imbibitor Lune is the big winner of this character. Like, Imbibitor Lune is a really big winner of this character. And I think QQ is the other big winner of this character. Both of them use a lot of skill points, and QQ's Quantum, so she gets buffed from her trace. So I think those two are the big winners. I think Sealy is another good winner for this, because Sealy uses a lot of skill points too. It'll be interesting to see. Everyone's been talking about Mono Quantum. I think it'll be interesting to see if Mono Quantum is better than Triple Quantum. I kind of think Triple Quantum Bronya is gonna be really strong. I think if you speed tune things correctly, Sealy, Bronya, Sparkle, and Fu Xuan will be a very strong comp. Now, obviously, the thing's not weak to Quantum. You'll go Mono Quantum, you'll bring Silver Wolf. But if the thing is already weak to Quantum, I think Bronya will be a very good option that you could swap out with Silver Wolf. And I think it might be better. And we'll have to see numbers. We'll have to, like, play it out for ourselves. But my personal opinion, that's what I'm really excited for. I'm excited to run Bronya and Sparkle on the same team, both with that action advance forward. If you speed tune it correctly, especially with a Sealy who already gets a ton of turns, you could just attack over and over and over and over and over again. And I think that'll be really fun to run. So that's the comp I'm most excited for, is Sealy, Bronya, Sparkle, Fu Xuan. How well does that work out in practice? We'll have to see, but that's the team comp I'm most excited for. So I don't have Dan Heng. If you have Dan Heng, 5-star, I think you are very excited right now. I think this character is going to work very well with him. And then I want to look at her light cone. So we have her light cone pulled up too. I talked about this with my chat before I started recording this video. But we were talking about her light cone and then alternative options. So her light cone seems really strong for her. Increases the wearer's crit damage by 32%. At the start of battle, the wearer gains mask, lasting for 3 turns. While the wearer has mask, wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10% and their crit damage increased by 28%. For every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including skill points that exceed the limit, gain 1 stack of Radiant Flame. And when the wearer has 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, all the stacks are removed and they gain mask, lasting for 4 turns. So obviously, this will be very good for Sparkle. It's her signature. And we were trying to theorycraft some other ideas of who this could go on. My big idea is I think this will be good for 0 cycle comps. I think Ruan Mei in particular, slow Ruan Mei in a comp that could kill whatever you're clearing, whether it be MOC 12 or a Sim Universe boss. You could kill something very quickly. I think this will be very good for them because it starts off with 3 turns. So you don't have to get the 4 stacks to get the first buff. So if you could kill it before the first buff runs off, I think this will be very strong for Ruan Mei. For like 0 cycle clears. Besides that, I think it could be okay for a slow Bronya, but I'm not a big fan of slow Bronya in general, so I'm not gonna say this will be her best option. I still think Bronya will run her signature light cone. And we were talking about alternatives to this. I think Bronya's light cone will be interesting. We'll have to see Hanabi's numbers. If the energy regen from Bronya's light cone can help her get her ult faster, then Bronya's light cone will be a very good alternative. If not, it might be a little bit redundant because it gives a skill point back, which is nice normally, but with Sparkle, you might just be overcapping on skill points. It might not really do anything. And if the regen rate doesn't increase the amount of ult she could get off, then it's pretty redundant and it's just a past and future, basically. So if that's the case, then I think Planetary Rendezvous, Dance Dance Dance, Past and Future, and the new MOC Lycone, I forget the name of it. It just came out with Penacony. I think those would be pretty good 4-star options, and I think Bronya's Lycone will just be a glorified Past and Future if the energy regen doesn't help her get her ult back faster. If it does help her get her ult back faster, I think it'll definitely be her second best option. But we'll have to wait and see for the numbers before we can know for sure on that one. So I missed anything, chat? Any questions? Anything I should answer? Anything you guys could think of? Doesn't EE consider overflowed skill points? No, but what I'm saying is for Bronya's light cone. So I was trying to talk of like... I was saying like, so for Bronya's light cone, because Bronya's light cone gives back a skill point. What Bronya's light cone does is literally past and future, but also gives a skill point and also gives you 10 energy regen. So the 10 energy regen doesn't give Sparkle the like a faster ult, then that part's kind of useless. And then if Sparkle's already generating enough skill points that you're always capped on skill points, then the skill point that you get from Bronya's light cone isn't going to do anything. So at that point, Bronya's light cone literally just becomes past and future, because all it is the damage buff on her skill. Does the crit buff stack if you have 2 of them? I assume it would, because this stacks. Like Bronya's light cone stacks. Personally, I will be pulling for Sparkle because I like her character. However, from a meta standpoint, I don't believe Sparkle will be a must pull. The Harmony category is getting more defined roles between each of the characters. However, there is still plenty of overlap, and unless you are in Bibber, Lune, QQ, or Sealy main, she will likely not be a must pull. Rather, a very strong character to pull if you like her. YouTube, let me know if you're pulling for Sparkle. I hope this video was helpful. I'm looking forward to her. Leave a like, subscribe. If you want me to pull on your account, I'll be doing that Thursday. Be helping all of chat get their Sparkles. Last time I went 14 for 19 on Black Swan. So if you're looking for Sparkle, I got you. See you in the next video, boys. Peace.